In Hors of Poland, the air is electric, and the crowd is roaring, because Mondo Duplantis is stepping onto the runway. Moments later, he soars over the bar set at 6.26 meters, breaking the pole vault world record for the 10th time in a row. It's a moment of sheer brilliance, and yet almost feels routine. Just 2 weeks earlier, he had set a world record in Paris to win his second Olympic gold medal in the event. At those games, his closest competitor Sam Kendricks earned silver, but was 30 centimeters behind Duplantis. 30 centimeters. In a sport where fractions of a centimeter define greatness, that's an eternity. Since February 2020, Mondo has been in a league of his own, repeatedly shattering barriers that no one else has even approached. 5 years of dominance, 10 world records, and not a single rival even close to catching him. Think about that for a second. For most athletes, competition is the fuel that drives them to new heights. Someone to chase, someone to beat. But for Duplantis, the competition has vanished. He's not just ahead of the pack, he's on another planet. So how does he keep going? At the time of recording, he's still only 25 years old. So how does he not grow complacent when there's literally no one left to push him? Well, that's the secret of the top 1%. The greatest athletes in the world don't rely on others to motivate them. They stay competitive by turning the battle inward. They measure themselves not against the competition, but against their own potential. And that's the skill we're going to unpack today. The skill that separates the top 1% of athletes from everyone else. How do you compete with yourself so relentlessly that you unlock levels of performance that others can't even fathom? Well, let's get started. In sports, we're conditioned to see the competition as the ultimate motivator. The idea that if you just push harder than the person next to you, you'll win. And yes, there is obviously some truth to this. You have to be aware of the competition to know what the standards are and to learn and understand their strategy so that you can beat them. But here's the catch. When your focus is entirely on beating others, it can quickly become your undoing. Think about a marathon with 50,000 runners on the start line. Out of all of them, maybe 10 are racing to win and beat everyone else. But for the other 49,990, they're not trying to beat Eliud Kipchoge or the elite pack up front. They're racing to beat themselves, their personal best time, their body's previous limits, or even just the voice in their head saying they can't do it. And here's the thing, those 49,990 runners are thriving because their competition is internal. They're motivated by progress, not by proving someone else wrong. Now let's flip that back to those 10 runners at the front. For them, the stakes are different, yes, but if their only goal is to beat the others in the pack, then they're at the mercy of their competitors. Someone can have a great day and they feel short, or someone has a poor day and they win, but without actually reaching their own personal best. This is why the obsession with external competition can become self-sabotaging. Because when your focus is entirely on others, you ignore your own limits and push recklessly, risking burnout or injury. You base your self-worth on circumstances that you just can't control, like someone else having an extraordinary performance. And you plateau, because instead of striving to surpass your own potential, you settle for just enough to stay ahead. The truth is, chasing others can take you far. I'm not saying that you need to form a complete bubble around yourself, but this mentality will never take you to the top 1%. That's a level you can only reach when you're racing and competing against yourself. So if you're still measuring your success solely by the people around you, it might be time to take a step back and rethink your approach. So what does it mean to still be really competitive with yourself though, in a way that still leads to incredible success as an athlete? Well, let's talk about Scottie Scheffler, the world's best golfer and Olympic gold medalist at Paris 2024. Before the game, some simple pictures went viral. In those, we saw some of the world's top golfers write their primary goal for the Olympics on a whiteboard. Almost every response was the same: win gold. A straightforward, ambitious answer for sure. But then there was Scheffler. His goal: have fun. The reaction was predictable. People joked about how unserious he was and questioned his competitiveness. But Scheffler knew something they didn't. He understood that focusing solely on the outcome, on beating everyone else there, would take him away from the one thing he could control: how he approached the game. Fast forward to the end of the tournament, and who's standing on top of the podium? Scottie Scheffler. Gold medal around his neck, proving that his approach wasn't just unconventional, it was genius. Scheffler's mindset wasn't about dismissing competition, it was about redefining it. For him, success wasn't tied to the result. It was just about being present, executing his process, and staying true to what brought out his best. This is what it truly means to be competitive with yourself. It's about asking questions like, how can I be better today than I was yesterday? What's within my control that I can improve? Am I chasing my own potential or just reacting to what others are doing? When you compete with yourself, the results tend to take care of themselves. You're no longer derailed by the uncontrollable factors, such as your opponent's performance, the referee's calls, or just plain luck. Instead, you're locked in on your process, your growth, and your ability to rise above your own limitations. Scheffler didn't win gold because he was fixated on the podium. He won because he mastered the art of internal competition. And that's a lesson every athlete can learn from. But honestly, most athletes struggle to compete with themselves because it's actually way harder. Competing with others is simpler. It gives you a clear target, a rival to beat. But competing with yourself, well, that requires deeper focus, self-awareness, and true discipline. Many athletes fall into these common traps. Firstly, chasing validation. They rely on external wins to fuel success, which means that they actually ignore their own progress. So what if you beat your competitors today? On paper, they may have actually been worse than you, so beating them isn't actually that much of an accomplishment, nor has it actually pushed you to advance your skills. And then most athletes also fear discomfort. Look, internal competition forces you to confront your weaknesses and push through frustration. It involves a lot of looking in the mirror and just being brutally honest with yourself, something all of us actually avoid a lot more than we should. And one final thing is a lack of patience. Improving the self takes time, and many just abandon it when results don't come instantly. It's hard to keep working out, to keep practicing when you don't see your scores, your times, or other performance metrics increase. So what can you do about this? How can you finally start properly competing with yourself? Well, the first thing is to adopt a mastery mindset. You need to make the shift from a winner's mindset to a mastery mindset. A winner's mindset is just focused on outcomes, winning the game, beating the opponent, or earning the trophy. In contrast, a mastery mindset focuses on perfecting your process, evolving your skills, and continuously improving your approach to your craft. No one embodies this better than Tom Brady. Even as one of the most decorated athletes in NFL history, Brady has always approached his career with curiosity and a drive to master every aspect of his game. He's experimented with unconventional recovery techniques, personalized nutrition plans, and customized training routines way before this became a common thing for top athletes. And it all aimed at maximizing his longevity and performance. And judging by the fact that he kept playing at the highest level until the age of 45, you can safely say he achieved just that. And this mastery mindset is so important because it places you in control. Instead of chasing results, you chase growth, which is something you can always influence. So to apply this to yourself, evaluate one area of your sport where you could refine your approach. For instance, how could your recovery routine improve your overall performance? Then experiment, track results, and optimize. This isn't about mimicking others, it's about mastering your own process. And then the second thing is to continually question yourself. To stay competitive with yourself, you must create the habit of asking tough, honest questions. This isn't about self-doubt, it's about curiosity and growth. Challenge yourself to find better ways to train, play, and prepare. Ask, how can I do this more effectively? Or what am I capable of if I just push myself a little further? This habit forces you to dig into your inner reserves of intrinsic motivation. Instead of relying on external pressures or competition to push you, you create your own momentum by striving to uncover what's truly possible. And this works because when you question yourself, you avoid complacency and you force yourself to seek creative solutions. It keeps you mentally engaged and ensures that you're always working towards your full potential, not just meeting the baseline set by others. It's why the likes of Mondo Duplantis can keep raising the bar, even when his competitors are just way off him. He keeps asking the question of how much higher, and then works out what he needs to do in order to keep breaking those boundaries. So to achieve this for yourself after a practice session or competition, just ask yourself, what went well today and how can I make it even better? Where did I fall short and how can I address it next time? Then set one actionable goal based on your answers, whether it's refining a skill, improving a habit, or learning something new. By continually questioning yourself, you turn every performance into a stepping stone for true growth. This is such a simple thing to do, but it's so easily overlooked and forgotten by most athletes. This will ensure that in a year's time, you look back at yourself today and laugh at just how bad that version of yourself was. That only comes from asking yourself those tough questions on a daily basis. And then the third thing is to do the non-negotiables. The most effective way to stay competitive with yourself is to identify your non-negotiables, the essential actions that you commit to daily, no matter what. These are the foundational habits that, when done consistently, ensure steady progress in your sport. Non-negotiables aren't grand or flashy. They're the small, specific actions that add up over time. The key is to choose just a few and focus on them relentlessly and just treat them as non-optional. Because by committing to non-negotiables, you eliminate decision fatigue and excuses. These habits become ingrained, making progress inevitable even on your toughest days. To best apply this, you should pick 3 non-negotiables tailored to your sport and your individual goals. This could be making 300 shots a day in basketball, always doing a 15-minute stretch routine after your daily run, or putting in 100 putts a day in golf to perfect your short game. You will know your sport best, but these non-negotiables can also be other things like getting a certain number of hours of sleep a night, or committing to a daily meditation practice. Whatever you know to be a key pillar to keeping yourself in a continual state of growth. And the power of these non-negotiables honestly lies in their simplicity. simplicity. They're small steps, but when repeated daily, they compound into massive gains when done for months and years on end. Each day you do them, you're adding another block that gets you closer to your peak self. But look, this can be tiring and demanding, don't get me wrong. So to help you avoid burnout in this pursuit of greatness, then check out this next video here.